All right, Tyler Perry fans, before reading the title and basically disliking the video or calling me out of my name in the comments or, well, why don't you make it then if you think you could do it better? This isn't about that. This is me addressing the fact that ever since last week's episode of Sisters and the moment that people were going nuts over when Fatima told Zach F me, and we didn't see a lot, but basically what we did see between these two on BET was more than we thought we would. But we all are saying the same thing. If this was BET plus, but no. In the comment section of my video on it, as well as on Instagram when I reposted the scene, and on Facebook, a noticeable amount of people are saying the same thing. Has Tyler Perry lost his way? And that's going to be the topic of discussion in this video. Go ahead and like the video, even if you disagree with the topic at hand. The likes do help the video get traction. Hit subscribe. We're less than 20,000 people away from 200,000 subscribers. Hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Has Tyler Perry lost his way? Now, to be completely honest, this really is a topic of discussion being brought up by those who still see Tyler Perry as, the Christian man who makes, well, for a lack of a better phrase, kind of clean, safe material from Medea to House of Pain, Meet the Browns. So when you see a more adult Tyler Perry, if you will, in the content that he makes, it has people questioning, has he sold his integrity to make a quick buck? Now, to be honest, I'm not really shocked. I feel like for me personally, I remember doing a video when Tyler Perry spoke at Joel Osteen's church, and it was a great, speech he gave. But at the same time, it's like he advocated for, Christianity and whatnot. But the question was, I forgot exactly what he said. I know the video I did is on the channel, so you can look it up. But I remember pulling part of the sermon, but only like a few seconds, because he said something specific that had me going, I'm a Christian too, and I'm not trying to, judge my brother or anything like that. But you literally contradicted yourself, because he made a statement about, I guess you could say, the material he makes or something like that. And I'm like, well, what about, like the homosexuality, the drugs, the, sex and everything? Like, you say you make this material, about faith and whatnot, but at the same time, you're making, I guess you could say, and this comes from being at liberty too long, secular material that kind of goes against what you're quote unquote preaching about. So to be honest, that kind of made me think, what's going on here. But at the same time, as somebody who did communications advertising in my bachelor's program, sex sells. And, if the attitude of, well, if Tyler Perry didn't do it, then somebody else would, that actually is true. Not to mention, the man's a freaking billionaire. You don't become a billionaire by being on the straight and narrow path. Sometimes you do stuff that's a bit questionable. Now, I don't know Tyler Perry's stocks. I don't know his bank account. I just know he's a billionaire. I don't know the man personally or the decisions he's made. I just feel like when you're looking at the content created, I feel like that's where people get a bit, the conversation goes into the topic of, well, I thought he was a Christian. Why is he making such, sinful content? Or he, hang on, I lost my train of thought there for a second. He's making all that different material. And then on top of that, why is he advocating for, LGBTQ plus community? That's against the Bible. And hey, don't cancel me, folks. I'm speaking of comments and things that people have brought up. Not to mention the horrific way that, he writes black women and, dark-skinned men. And on top of that, the black stereotypes, he caters to that, to an audience, and that's what gets, the people to buy the movie tickets and all. And he's perpetuating a very negative stereotype of black people to white people, and that's how they see us. I feel like all these conversations are valid, but at the same time, it's like, it isn't just Tyler Perry that does it. And just so you know, if you're kind of a new person to the channel, hell, this could be the first video you've seen on this channel, and the channel itself has well over 5,000 videos at this point. I'm not affiliated with Tyler Perry Studios. I don't work for Tyler Perry. I've never met Tyler Perry. I've never spoken to Tyler Perry on phone, email, snail mail. I don't make a cent from Tyler Perry Studios. They don't pay me. I make ad revenue by talking about these shows on YouTube, and Google pays me. So just know that the things I say aren't out of some sort of bias. It isn't like Tyler Perry Studios gave me like a bullet point list to go over. No, this is just a topic I want to discuss because I noticed people were posting, commenting on my post about the sisters scene last week. But I mean, first of all, have you seen Ruthless and Bruh? Bill and Mike have had some sex scenes. I'll tell you, what was it, in episode 2? We see Pam shirt braless. We see Regina naked a couple episodes ago. Hell, we see Natalie naked in, like, what is it, season 2, episode 2 of Bruh. And in Ruthless, let's not even talk about Ruthless. That's just a next level. So I feel like people are seeing the more, I guess you could say, rated M content of Tyler Perry, and they're feeling some kind of way about it. But to be honest, it's kind of been there all along. Maybe not as gratuitous and graphic as it is now, but it was getting there. Not to mention BET, the censorship there is a lot different than on OWN. And BET Plus, I mean, it's pretty much, hey, all bets are off, as well as closed. So I feel like, you know, if the Zach and Fatima scene makes you feel uncomfortable, then don't watch it. But to be completely honest, I'd say that it does feel a bit weird to just quit Tyler Perry content altogether, or hell, even quit the show Sisters altogether because of that one scene between Zach and Fatima. And I've said it time and time again when it comes to like Ruthless, for example, because that show is, you know, M for mature on BET Plus. There are a lot of scenes I personally don't watch whenever, you know, like it's The Highest or Daikon or basically two men doing anything sexual. I just turn my head because I don't want to see it, nor do I want to see a penis. Or, you know, sometimes even the sex scenes between men and women, I'm like, you know what, kind of, you know, that's pretty much basically porn. I'm turning my head. I know some people be like, you know, Jeremy, come on, stop being a wimp and all, like, you know, that's nothing compared to this. Again, it's just my personal choice. Just like All the Queen's Men is about to come out. That's basically kind of like a P-Valley show, strip club, you know, it's male dancers and stuff. That's on BET Plus, so I'm pretty damn sure it's going to be graphic. And I mean, I'm questioning whether or not I'm going to review that show because I feel like, you know, there's going to be a lot of things in that show I don't want to see. So I feel like, has Tyler Perry lost his way? My question is this, and again, I don't make a dime from these people. So I'm just saying, I was thinking about, okay, I'm putting my sister on blast a little bit here, but not too bad. I think she's mad at me because I didn't put my nephew on the bus this morning because I've been up since 2 o'clock. My stomach been acting up, so I was going back to sleep around 7. The bus comes 7:15. He's going to summer school. It's only 4 days a week for a few hours, and, you know, because of the pandemic, he hasn't really been out to school a lot, so this is to get him, you know, reacclimated to the class setting because they literally start school in a couple of weeks here. And, you know, my sister like, I got to do this, and I'm like, no, because she's known to be a liar. She's like, I got to go to work and do this, and like, you don't go to work till like 5. You just want to meet up with so and so. So I'm like, no, I got this to do because I got to work on videos and everything later today. And she's been a huff all day about it. So basically, it's like, what about yesterday when I gave you my bank card to go get some groceries and everything, and you borrowed my car for like 3 weeks when yours was in the shop? Basically, people forget all the things you've done for them. They forget all the times you said yes because you told them no one time. I feel like the same thing is true for people like Tyler Perry. It's like, just because you don't agree with a scene from Sisters or The Oval or, you know, this or that, even though, you know, when Jason was masturbating and then threw his liquids on that counselor. That was pretty effed up. Essentially, don't let one scene turn you off from Tyler Perry completely, because regardless as to whether or not you feel like he lost his way, the man is doing a lot of good things for a lot of people, from providing job opportunities, buying people houses, cars, paying tuition, giving free meals and whatnot. A lot of people feel like, you know what, you were a Christian at first, but then you got too secular, you forgot about your core audience. Sure, I've had plenty of people telling me, even to this day, from when I started out, Tyler should hire you, Tyler should do this, Tyler should do this for you because you've done so much for him. It's true. Sometimes I'm like, when I see a story about him doing this for a person, like buying them a house or buying them a car, I feel like, man, that would be great to have that happen to me. But the thing is, I just remember, even though I'm not the one being directly assisted when he feeds like 10,000 people on Thanksgiving, I look at the fact that this man has so much money and resources. He doesn't have to do anything for anybody, but he chooses to do so anyway. And I feel like that's enough to give me a bit of gratitude. Not to mention, even though he hasn't directly contributed to my bank account, if you will, and I'm not saying this to be petty or being sarcastic, I'm being completely honest here. If not for the haves and the have-nots, I would probably still be working a 9-to-5 right now, because that show is what birthed or sparked my blog, which eventually became my YouTube channel. So I can't talk about how I'm ungrateful or I feel some kind of way about Tyler Perry when he's indirectly done so much for me, So I feel like, even though you might feel Tyler Perry isn't catering to you, that's okay. It's just because Tyler Perry lost his way. Well, look at a show like Young Dylan. That's a show geared towards kids. I've watched a few episodes. I haven't watched every single one of them, but I've enjoyed what I did watch. I mean, I feel like at some point, if the show's available on like a streaming service or something along those lines, I might sit back and, binge a season just because. But I feel like Tyler Perry has so much content out there nowadays. I feel like there's something for everyone. So if you feel like this particular show is too graphic, then there's a show that's going to be on the comedy side, like, even though you might not like Assisted Living and House of Pain now, hell, there's been a few times since I've been home that I've just kicked back on the couch and watch House of Pain or Meet the Browns, just because it's a throwback to the TBS days, and I love that. So, all this to say, I just don't think it's fair to just say Tyler Perry lost his way. Like, Kev on Stage is another example, a Christian comedian, and he has his own sound studio now. He has his own app, and he pretty much talks about how people say, man, you're not you curse and you do this. It's like, look, I've always done this. It's just like the image that I present myself was to be marketable, and now that I'm able to do things on my own, I'm able to become more myself. I feel like that's the same thing for like musical artists. Like, they might start out like Lady Gaga, they might be flamboyant in terms of the way they dress or look ridiculous, but that's only to get ticket sales, streaming and whatnot. So once they reach a certain threshold, it's like, okay, now I can ditch the wacky outfits and whatnot, and I can be more of myself. So that's honestly what I feel like Tyler Perry, he created his brand. I think his brand is consistent, to be completely honest, and if nothing else, I feel like his brand is like the trunk of a tree. And, there were a couple of branches at first, one being Christian, one being I think the roots are definitely his Christian foundation. But, like, one branch was like the comedic side. Another branch was the drama. Another branch had the morals and lessons. And then as the brand grew, as well as the tree, and I really cater that to like Viacom, he was able to branch out more. Again, a kid's show like Young Dylan, an adult geared show like All the Queen's Men, which hasn't come out yet. And the list goes on. So I feel like it really isn't fair to say Tyler Perry has lost his way, because even though you might not like the content he's putting out, I think that you should really take a moment and look at what the man Tyler Perry himself has been doing outside of the studio. Like, from donating food, buying groceries, houses, cars, all that stuff. just take a moment to remember, don't, you know, one scene of a television show shouldn't really cause you to judge somebody's entire character. That's pretty much the gist of this video. So, speaking of money, since I haven't gotten a Tyler Perry donation, again, that's just a joke. Feel free to donate to this channel if you would like on PayPal or Cash App. And with that being said, you know, let's have a healthy discussion below about this. And yeah, with that being said, I'll catch you all in the next video.